So without further ado, let me introduce to you Lillian Betty.
Thank you. Which one do I press? That one. Thank you. Hello. Oh, right. Okay, thank you. How are we all? Good? Not sleepy after lunch? Okay. Okay, so I'm Lillian Betty, and I'm Head of Strategic Partnerships at Time Inc., and I'm here this afternoon to share our approach to influencers with you all. So I don't really know all about it, but I will share with you what I have learnt. That's me. Influencer marketing. So just a quick overview of Time Inc. So we're a business built on great content based around the passions of our audiences. So you may recognize some of our world-famous brands here. In fact, in the UK alone, we have 60 iconic brands, creating about 10,000 pieces of content every week across 30 verticals, with a total audience reach of about 30 million every week. Now, with a diverse suite of brands and highly engaged audiences and a myriad of stories to tell, we produce and distribute content across multiple themes and channels every day. But to give you a taste of how we work, here is an example of some of the topics we cover. So, inspired by Victoria earlier on, I feel that I should be creating some sort of personal moment. I haven't got any Prosecco, but what I do have are some old-fashioned media. So if anyone's interested in any of the brands that you've seen on the slide previously, if you can send your email details to me or one of the team, I'd be happy to offer you a 3-month free subscription to any of the brands that you've seen there. Woohoo! So why influencer marketing? Well, influencer marketing for Time Inc. is about something that we do already. So we have sort of influential brands, and we've been creating experiences with our brands for over 150 years. We create conversations, recommendations through informed and inspiring content. But our business strategy is to use our brands and our influence and continue to build our editorial values, developing our brands and serving our audiences with quality content wherever, whenever, and however they need them. And we certainly feel that the influencer community can offer an interesting route to our shared audiences. But as an industry, we are pretty fascinated and obsessed by this marketplace. Influencers are high on the agenda of most business meetings, certainly within our company. We're all trying to understand the role in marketing, the consumer engagement, how this audience and this community fits in with our own business structures, and we're trying to understand the impact of social media, and in some cases, if it represents opportunities or a threat. So then we have to look to our business and try and understand why influencer marketing would work for us. So in our view, influence is the capacity to affect character, opinion, and behavior. And in a rapidly changing and increasingly uncertain world, sharing thoughts, ideas, inspiration with like-minded people has never been more important for our brands and our audiences. So as we say here, because their voices are shaping the way we think, behave, and live, their passions and values chime with our own. So from micro-influencers with the efficacy to engage start conversations to Instagram icons who are changing the face of fashion, beauty, food, music, fitness for a new generation. Time Inc. will be collaborating with the best of them. And the business case for this industry is astounding. So with influencer marketing estimated to be worth between 3.8 and 7.6 billion within the next 5 years, and YouTube stars now seen as 90% more authentic than mainstream celebrities, the sector is making a significant impact in regards to market growth and in return marketing spend, and it's challenging our perception and our approach to talent, advocacy and endorsement. Over the past year alone, brands have spent more than 7 million on Instagram influencers, and this figure is expected to double by 2019. And in regards to consumer behaviour, 74% use social media to make purchase decisions, and influencers are predicted to take a leading role in the future of advertising over the next 4 years. In fact, 23% of marketers are planning to increase their influencer spend by 30% over the next year. So this represents an important space for businesses to occupy. And then looking at the advertising arena, trust in advertising has been in decline for over the past 20 years, according to Steve Hatch at Facebook. I'm not quite sure whether I would say Facebook have contributed to that, but that's another story. But brands are also struggling to maintain consumer trust. And with that in mind, we have to try and understand how we maintain that trust. So as a business, Time Inc., our brands, however, are managing to maintain and increase trust with our audiences, and we believe that's due to driving passion. So we believe that driving passions drives trust. And in fact, our brands are 15% more trusted with their recommendations than even family members. But we've also tried to look at the key considerations and challenges and requirements facing marketers entering into this sector. And we've looked at 3 key points. Firstly, quality. Finding the right influencer is labor intensive and it's difficult to determine their authenticity. Protection. Fraud and reach in terms of engagement. What we're finding is that it's difficult to protect businesses against the increase in fake accounts, and authenticity is always going to be key in this space. And then evaluation, so ROI and tracking results. It's very, very difficult to report on delivery, and it can be lengthy and unclear, particularly when you've got multiple influencers. I sort of compare it to herding cats sometimes, but it is worthwhile, but it is labor intensive. So all the factors and considerations have helped us shape our approach, which is Time Inc. influencers. So that's a strategic blend of editorial and influencer talent, ensuring that influencers are embedded into our brands. And we will use our skills and expertise as a content creation business to extend our reach and level of engagement with audiences and build an alliance of contributors. So we become the single point of contact for all our talent, teams and clients. And we'll then be able to connect brands with the strategic blend of talent and develop and execute campaigns that will amplify content at scale, but helping brands engage and activate their audiences. We want to provoke conversation, drive engagement, and get brands seen by the right people at the right time. And so the structure of our network is quite interesting. The vetting process is key. We feel that we need to curate a network, looking more than just the total audience that they can deliver. We're working to find contributors whose ideals reflect the broad values of our brands, and then we manage them and maintain those relationships in the same way we manage our editorial and commercial staff. And the structure has 3 key pillars. The first one is Time Inc. talent. So that's our editorial experts, our brand ambassadors, thought leaders, and advocates. And they offer a high level of credibility and expertise. The second is our timing contributor. So that's a combination of MIDI and micro influencers that are curated by our editors, and they're Instagrammers, vloggers, bloggers, and they are seen as an extension of our editorial team. And then finally, our celebrity influencers. And by celebrity, we're calling them influencers with a following of 500,000 plus, moving up to 1 million. And we build longer-term partnerships with them, and we use them to support our editorial projects and campaigns. And this is just some examples of how we try and utilize influencers within our brands. So here you can see at the top, we use them at front of place within our print execution, so that's editorial and advertorial features. We have a reciprocal relationship with them in terms of social, so we will share and post and support each other and our businesses. But we also use them to engage different audiences when we're trying to use them for important editorial campaigns, as we feel that they're able to spread our message in a different way. But also, which is very interesting, we also use them in terms of insight and research. So they're there to give us an understanding of the industry, so we can understand how they're operating, how they want to be treated, but also they operate as a consumer panel for us, so they will conduct reader testing, reader research, and also give us editorial comment when required. And one thing that we found which is quite interesting is that the use of our established brands drives greater engagement and awareness. And that's not just brand awareness, but also purchase intent. So social campaigns with our brands drive increased engagement. And a great example is a campaign that we ran recently for Pearl Drops. So we managed to find that we had 25.3% uplift in engagement with the involvement of our brands. So that strategic blend of traditional media accompanied with the new social media and the influencer is adding something that's giving deeper engagement. So we believe that through passions we can deliver results at scale. So I wanted to share with you an example of a campaign that we ran that used influencers, and hopefully this will give you an idea of the range that you can have with influencers. So the project was Matalan. And Matalan's business challenge, does everyone know Matalan? Do you know what it is? Yeah? Okay. So their business challenge was to create fashion credentials to increase awareness and drive sales. So we did quite a bit of research and understood that Matalan's customer target, for them, fashion and style were an integral part of their daily conversation, just in the same way as the weather is for anyone in the UK. But that led us to the conclusion that content needed to sit at the heart of this campaign. So we worked with them and built an ecosystem that had content at the heart of it. And the big idea was an always-on 12-month partnership that connected Matalan, ITV, and Time Inc. It was a bi-weekly TV series, I suppose, that provided hints and tips on current trends, fashion essentials, inspirational ideas. It was presented by Denise Van Outen, and she was joined by Time Inc. influencers, Time Inc. editors and influencers on her sofa of this daytime show. So the partnership originally launched in September 2016 as Matalan Presents the Show. And as I said, it was giving style advice and information and fashion on homes. And it was across ITV, so it was in TV trailers, Matalan's digital and social channels, and it was supported by Time Inc. brands across print and our digital executions. And the use of influencers worked in 3 different ways. Firstly, to build fashion credentials, to provide additional content and distribution channels, and to represent the voice of the audience, the viewer and the reader. And the selection process and criteria was thorough and meticulous. We needed authentic, credible talent with good fashion credentials. They had to be MIDI macro influencers with a minimum reach of 50,000. They had to have likability, be relatable to wider audiences, and create and have great on-screen chemistry. Each show was shot as live, and a theme and key topics was also present. So it was important that influencers could present to camera in a natural and engaging way. Influencers needed to be mothers who identified with the viewer, and they were able to talk fashion and style or interiors through the lens of their family. Here, Mother Pucker, over here, you've got to check out her vlog, she's hilarious, shared her top tips for a harmonious Christmas, and she was alongside the fashion editor of InStyle, but the chemistry that they had on screen and the time that they had in the green room meant that they built a great relationship with each other, and they went on to create some additional content on their individual channels, which extended the campaign reach, but it came across as really genuine, organic, and something that the client hadn't even anticipated when we started this partnership. And Patricia Bright, featured here with Denise and the Marie Claire fashion editor, is a rising YouTube star. She has 1.5 million subscribers, and she was incredibly popular with our audiences and the customers as we run regular research panels every time the show is launched, every time the show is aired, so we can understand how the audience are engaging with the talent. But we felt that she was such an important addition that we started to create some of the scripting around her interests so that there was more authenticity. And she's appeared on the show, as I said, many times, a few times with her husband discussing family life and travel. But what is interesting about this campaign is that we see a direct increase in sales in items featured on the show and worn by the presenters. And these outfits in particular sold out within the first week. So we know that influencers help the client build a presence and following on new social platforms. So they had no presence on Instagram when they started. Actually managed to triple their reach within the first few months of the campaign going live. And then also giving them access and gaining a new generation of customer. So they've actually managed to engage young, fashion-forward, and influential advocates within their social group. And the results have been phenomenal. So 70% of the adverts delivered in peak viewing time on ITV, 7 million video views, 178,000 hours of content watched, and celebrity guest reach just over 4 million. So we know that the campaign has managed to engage audiences and deliver sales. But hopefully this little clip will give you a sense of the campaign and how it all came together. I said at the beginning of the presentation I would also share some of my learnings. Some of these are really obvious, maybe obvious to you, they weren't obvious to me when I started out, but I'm going to pass on things that I think are valuable to understand. So my first learning in terms of working with influencers is take time to source talent. Research and track key influencers, but also ensure that you establish best practices and rules of engagement throughout your business, and then share these principles with your influencers. You want to make sure that your chosen influencer is exactly part of your market, and that their audience consists of the same people you have an interest in when you're promoting. Build relationships. Establish a relationship based on their needs and requirements alongside the needs of your business or campaign. Ensure that it is mutually beneficial and collaborative, and ideally develop a connection before you approach them to work with them. Taking this approach ensures that you don't come across as being disingenuous, and remember that these people are people who have built careers and businesses around their passion and credibility. They're a really close-knit community. They're communicating with each other all the time, and your reputation can be damaged by an ill-thought-through approach or poor treatment, and they will share their feelings with their peers and their audiences. And also, business is about give and take, so make sure you remember this when you're approaching influencers. So, do you have anything that you can offer them? Could you support and help develop their careers in any way? How can you provide value? Quality of content. Choose wisely. It may seem obvious, but the most important step is to carefully consider which influencers are most appropriate for your business and brand. The clearest indicator can be found by reviewing the influencer's existing following, posts and across all platforms, and there are numerous tools that you can use to help you identify the level of credibility with your specific marketplace. I'm just overwhelmed by the amount of people that feel that they need to be naked, but consider themselves adopting family values. So take time to go through posts. The naked tattooed lady that I put forward for the Matalan campaign was a learning for me. Be realistic with talent, skills, and abilities. This was a learning that we gained from the Matalan project. We must never assume that influencers' content or skills can be translated into different platforms or formats. It's important to align expectations and, where relevant, provide support, training, and development. However, it's equally important to embrace the environments where influencers work best. It helps them maintain their authenticity, there's that word again, but my biggest learning was someone who's got 4 million followers on YouTube, they're in front of a camera, they're engaging, it's fantastic. You put them in a studio with cameramen staring at them and they freeze, and it's not good to watch. Equally, in terms of great content, they can write in snippets and catchphrases. Ask them to write something long form and you're getting a very, very different experience. So for us, we're trying to mentor those people, to share our skills as content creators, so that people that we work with are adopting the brand values and the quality that we hold dear to us. Be clear of requirements. Simple, clear, open, uncomplicated briefs work best. Avoid being too prescriptive. An open task for influencers will allow them to interpret, new word, their interpretation of the content and create something that is truly unique to them and will resonate with their audiences. But be sure their expectations of quality and timings are aligned. Set and agree guidelines and deliverables. Ensure all angles are covered. Herding cats. Everything from the brief, supplied assets, costs, expenses, live dates, and this is where you do need to be prescriptive on mandatories. So provide everything you can for them, from hashtags and app mentions, key messages and legal disclosure. Share all elements of the project so that they understand their role in a multimedia campaign. And finally, influencers are not islands, so take an integrated approach to your marketing activity. I know that sounds obvious, but I've worked with a number of clients who have said, well, we're going to take it all off PR and we're just going to put it all onto influencers. Influencers, for all their positives, can't be relied on to replace other marketing activity. They work best as part of a fully integrated campaign strategy. So I think of influencers as pieces of the puzzle, albeit a piece with increasing levels of importance. Good night.